Hey, what's happening, Roland? Well, today is Friday. It's actually it's Friday the 22nd of November, the third week of November. What a week! And right now, I'm in Hartford, Connecticut, well, near Hartford, Connecticut, at the Mohegan Sun big giant land and sea promotion. And land and sea is a big distributor, so I'm working with Booyah. And Jimmy Houston and I are the green guys, and we're trying to promote. In fact, it's easy to promote because so many of the states have now a directive to go green. So all these marine dealers that are here, we've established dozens and dozens of accounts these last couple of days on people that are now, in many cases, required to go green because the direct release thing is a big thing because, anyway, we can wash our boats and do that. But anyway, we're right here in Connecticut. Now, 2 days ago, Jimmy and I helped open a Bass Pro Shop in St Augustine, Florida. And Jimmy was the MC, and Johnny Morris is there, and all sorts of people. Tom Shockley's daughter Eva was there, and Ricky Medlock with the Lennard Skinner band was there, and John Anderson, the singer, and all sorts of other celebrities, Bill Dance and I. And we were signing autographs and having a big giant 150,000 square foot store, Bass Pro Shop, probably the finest that they've ever had. So they're opening stores now, and that was part of it. But that's not the big news. The big news was this week. I was with my son in Little Rock, Arkansas, and Steve Bowman was one of the guys that works for Bass, and he also does pond restoration. And all through the Dumas area and Stuttgart area, there's many rice ponds and lakes. And so Scott and I went out there with his boat, and we did some film work. Now, these lakes are genetically improved bass. And so, believe it or not, Scott and I had the best fishing trip I've had this year. On lures, we just absolutely destroyed the 5 and even 6 and even 7 pound bass. It was not every cast, but it was phenomenal. It was just really great. So we went to 2 different reservoirs. One was a 40-acre lake, and out in the middle they'd taken a great big bulldozer that made all these channels and stuff, and they had all sorts of brush piles. And then, of course, they had the genetically improved bass in there. We could catch them on spinnerbaits, we caught them on jigs, and we caught them on topwater. Then the next lake was only a 20-acre lake, but it had deep water. So that's where Scott did a whole big deal, and he was really showing me how to pinpoint the bass with the live target system. Actually, he uses Garmin. I use Active Target from Lowrance, but anyway. And he'd spot these fish on these brush piles and stumps, and he'd say, "Dad, they're right over there." And I threw right over there, and I caught the big fish of the day. I had one almost 8 pounds, and it's all sorts of great fish. But that's not even the big story. The big story was last Sunday, after I did my YouTube and what's happening for last week. I took a man and a wife out, and they said, "We want to shine our fish on Headwaters." I said, "Okay, we're going to shine our fish on Headwaters." What a day. I tell you what happened. There were a lot of shiners, and so I bought 12 dozen shiners. It's 144 shiners. And the wife had never caught many bass, so out of being a gentleman, I said, "Listen, I'm going to have a rod. Everybody's going to have a rod. I'm going to have a couple rods. Who wants to be the designated angler?" Almost all the time, the husband will say, "Well, they make my wife the designated angler. You know, she hasn't caught many fish, or she hasn't caught any fish." Well, that gives her 2 or 3 rods, and he only has 1 rod to fish. And so, sure enough, you can understand what happened. She catches the most fish for the day. Well, out of the 144 shiners we had, they get to bite them so good that we had that many strikes. I mean, we basically, every time we put one on the hook, we'd get something to bite it. But it might be a garfish, and we did catch, and some of the fish got off, some of them jumped off. It got so frantic, and the fish were in such a frenzy that they'd come all around the boat, and you could take a dead shiner. And in one case, I cut a shiner in half, cut it in half, and put a half a shiner on a hook, and dropped it in the water, and a bass would grab it. Big old. One time, it's such a frenzy, and they were all going around crazy, that we caught this big old 5-pound bass that day. And there was a tail sticking out of his mouth, and we pulled the thing out. It was half digested, no head, just a terrible looking thing. I said, "Put it on the hook and see what happens." So he puts it on the hook, throws it out there, catches another great big bass. That particular day, we had an 8.5-pound bass, and then Florida has a Florida trophy catch. And the Florida trophy catch is any bass over 8 pounds. You take a picture of it on the scale to document the weight, and then take a measurement of it, and then send it in to the Florida Trophy Catch, which is a state-run deal for the Fish and Game. And they give you a nice certificate, and Bass Pro Shop gives you about a $100 gift certificate as well. So anyway, I got Jimmy here. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, can you help me with this a second? I want to talk. We're doing a what's happening.
What's happening, Roland?
Well, you know.
So what's happening? What's happening? All right.
He was the one that got me started doing this. Remember that?
I mean, we were fishing up in Minnesota. We was doing an event up there for 3M and doing some television shows, and we were having a lot of fun. And I told you, I said, I need to do a Sunday afternoon chat. And you said, oh, I see that Sunday noon after chat. I like it. And I said, you need to do something like that. Just kind of tell people what you're up to, where you're at. Just like you're out here with the Land and Sea show in Connecticut, up in upstate Connecticut, with Booyah Clean, the boat cleaner we've been using for the last decade, really, about 8 or 10 years.
8 years now. 8 years. It's really turning around big time.
Oh, it's amazing.
Now people,
it's actually taking over
mandated. It's almost mandated in many places.
It's taking over the boat cleaning market, period. I mean, that's what's happening. And we're at this big show and having a great time up here. And one of the great things about a Land and Sea show is they feed you. They feed you breakfast, they feed you lunch, they feed you dinner, and so you just stay here and work, and then you eat. You know, work a couple hours, time to eat again. Work a couple hours, time to eat again. So that's great. But we've got a great booth here, and you know, one of the great things about Land and Sea, they're a big distributor, of course, but they have lots and lots of accounts that buy marine dealership. You know, Jimmy Houston Marine. You know, we buy most of our stuff there through distributors. Now we're a Tractor Elite dealer, so we buy tractors and Rangers and Tahoes and everything.
But Land and Sea's a big account with you.
Yeah, we buy a lot. We buy a lot from the distributors, you know, because we buy from them and we buy various products, and that's what makes it great. And anybody that needs boat cleaner can, you know, in any boat dealers around or marinas around or hardware stores or whatever that sells boat cleaner, they can buy from somebody like Land and Sea and put it in their place. And incredible product. The thing I like about it, Roland, you know, we like to keep our boats clean. We have to for television. Is we can pull up on the boat ramp, spray Booyah Clean on there, and actually, if you want, just back it back down the water, rinse it off on a trailer, and pull it right out and go home, and our boat's clean. And it's safe to do that. Environmentally safe. I guess the only boat cleaner out there that is actually approved by the EPA to wash on your boat slip. You got it up on a lift, wash it.
See, Mike, he's been a big chemist, and he's had this other company called, what was it, Whitechem Chemical. Yeah. And their job for 30 years was to clean up oil spills in the Gulf of Mexico.
And clean up plants when they have hurricanes.
So he knows all about how to restoration.
They actually clean some of the Shell refineries. You know, we're Shell Rotella. We're big. Shell's one of our big sponsors, and they work with Shell and keeping all of their places clean and making sure.
That was on an industrial level. So now this is the first.
But you know, he did that with chemicals. He did that with chemicals and things like acid, for instance, which is an incredible cleaner. He'll take everything off everything. Acid will. But you know, we've got acid replacers in all this Booyah Clean product, so we're not putting acid on your boats, your trucks, your tractors, your four-wheelers, your cars, whatever, and we're also not putting that acid in the water or on the soil. You know, we think about environment, we think about the air, the water, and the tree, but the soil, the ground, we're polluting that, basically all our lives as well.
Well, we were just about running over time. I just wanted to tell them there's Thanksgiving coming up. I got some deer hunting trips coming for a couple of days, and then I'll be back on Lake Okeechobee doing some guide work, and I do an instructional guide deal, and that's really helpful. And so we're catching fish in Okeechobee.
Roland, I've fished with you 1,000 times probably over the years. We fished together a lot. We still do fish together an awful lot. We have actually drawn each other in national bass tournaments. But you can't fish with Roland Martin without being instructed. I've learned a lot from you.
I do. I tell
some of it I
can't
can't share, but I've learned a lot from you.
And my big deals are worm fishing. Right? Show them the proper way to worm fish.
And he's incredible.
How to way to flip and pitch. And of course, Jimmy's big forte is he's a power fisherman. He loves to throw that spinnerbait, and he's as accurate a caster. In fact, the most accurate caster in the whole world. And I try to work with my people as far as accuracy, but that's hard to teach.
It is, but it's important. But if they know how important accuracy is, every time they go fishing for the rest of their life, it's going to be in their mind, and they're going to get better and better as time goes by. It's like accuracy is like shooting a free throw. If you shoot 100 free throws a day, you're going to be a better free throw shooter. If you shoot 500 a day, you're going to be a great free throw shooter.
What I notice, I get a lot of men and wife, husband and wife. The wives are easier to teach. Number one, they listen, and the husbands have a lot of bad habits, and so it's hard to break them. but at least I can instruct her. I can show her.
You
Here's how you do it.
can
I show
teach
the
your wife
woman,
as long as it's not your own.
and then the guy will be watching as I'm telling her exactly how to do it. He'll be picking up on it too, so I don't have to. He's not being compromised.
You know. There's a reason that women catch more fish than men, anyway.
They're softer in their touch, and they listen, and
they smell better.
Well, anyway, that's what's happening this week, and it's coming up on Thanksgiving, and I know we're going to have a great time of it, and I'm maybe doing a little deer hunt. You'll probably do a little deer hunt.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of kids and grandkids down Thanksgiving. We're big into the holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's our big deal. And Easter, of course, the birth of Christ, that's another big holiday for us. But the Easter and Christmas are two big family deals, and we sort of make a week out of it. And it's just one of my special times of the year. And it's always been special, and the babies keep on coming, so as we have more grandkids and great-grandkids, it gets even better every year.
Well, that's it. That's it. What's happening this week, and we'll see you again next week. Hey, listen, hit that likes button. I tell you, all our sponsors like Booyah, and of course, we're Bass Pro Shop, and we have a lot of other mutual people together, Mercury Outdoors, and everybody else. Hey, hit that likes button. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.
Happy Thanksgiving.